Hello people, how are you doing? I'm just out in the garden as it's a lovely sunny day, but I'm speaking very quiet because my neighbours have both come out at the same time on either side. And it doesn't matter, I know it doesn't matter, but I don't feel I can really speak my mind. In a loud voice at least, because they can hear me and there's not much space here. Anyway, it doesn't matter, I have every right to be out here, and if I get up close, you can hear what I'm saying. I don't think the neighbour on that side can hear very well anyway, but he might learn something, mightn't he, if he listens in. Anyway, oh God, it's so lovely. I just feel that spring is in the air and I really need spring. I love spring so much, and then summer is great. He's hoovering the lawn now, so he won't be listening. That's good. So how did you get on this week with, what did I say in the last clip? It was focusing on the wish fulfilled and the assumption, as always. As usual, when I went to bed, I often just fell off to sleep and forgot to be imagining the feeling of the wish fulfilled, which is really important as you go off to sleep. But after a few nights of becoming irritated with myself for doing that, I said to myself, well, as long as you can say I am whatever you want to be and imagine it when you go to bed, it doesn't matter. At least you've done that, you've had the feeling, and then if you fall asleep, so be it. So I just say it out loud, so at least I've done it before I fall asleep, you know. I am a successful writer, blah blah blah, like that. And throughout the day, that's the easy one, I find. If you can just remember to say every now and then, I am a successful writer, or whatever you want to be, and tell yourself it's a fact, and you just walk in that confidence and self-belief that it's already done, it's a done deal, and it will be. It is. So keep that up if you're doing that. I'm sure you will. And then I was reading my workbook, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, which is just the best ever, as I'm always saying. And I ordered another copy because mine is so tatty. And so look at this. Isn't that nice and new? And it was only a few pounds, not on Amazon. But look, can you see about here? There's a little dent there. Can you see that? That's my fault because it was lying in the hallway and I knew it was, and I just shoved the door open, pushed my bike in instead of picking it up first. So that's my fault. So I'm gonna have to order another one because I'm a bit OCD, but I'll use that in my bag, in another bag. It's fine. That was a good lesson to take care of your personal stuff, you know. Don't push your bike on top of books, that's really bad. And so I was reading a bit in it, and there's always some words, some phrases that come out at me. And this one was yield to the wish fulfilled and rise as the prophet of assumption. It's good, isn't it? And I really focused on that yield. And I think it's very good when you've just imagined the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You're lying in bed and you're trying to maintain that feeling before you drop off to sleep. Just think yield, and give yourself up to that feeling. And what I find is it's always love, and you just become one with that. I don't know if I'm doing that right, but that's what I has to be right if it's love, doesn't it? If you're imagining something specific, like a specific feeling that you are this person in the future, there's always going to be a feeling of contentedness, contentment, and satisfaction, and achievement, and happiness, fulfillment, all these good things. It could be really specific, like you could be imagining you're an actor on the stage and you're hearing the applause, but that's all in the imagined act, isn't it? That's going to be different every time, but you will still feel happy, fulfilled, contented. It's always the same. So I think the detail is definitely down to the imagined act, and then yielding to the feeling is yielding to love, but you are imagining yourself to be that kind of person, but you yield to God, you yield to love, and that's a great feeling. So I'm thinking this week, yield to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and rise as the prophet of assumption. Yield and rise. And it's pithy, isn't it? It's good. It's easily remembered. So what of rise as the prophet of assumption? So once you've yielded and you've got that good feeling and you believe that you are what you want to be, you cannot help but assume it. You cannot help but think from it, because you are it. And so you are making an effort to go throughout the day and saying, I am this, I am that. That's the assumption. You're assuming you're it. But prophet, the plane's going overhead. I live not far from Heathrow Airport, so I do get that a lot. I should film one of them going overhead. It's not very low, but it's nice because it makes me think of travel and going away to a really hot country. So where was I? A prophet is speaking of things to come as if they are now, and being in that, in this moment, you are that, and you are speaking from that assumption. So it's, as I've said before, I mean, I know I repeat myself a lot, sorry, but it's like you are playing make-believe. You are that person now, and you're making plans from the state you have achieved in the future, but it's now. So you bring it into the now and live in it. So this week, just think, yield and rise, yield and rise. It sounds like making bread or something, doesn't it? And actually, there is an analogy there with bread, I think, because when you add yeast to bread, it's only a tiny little bit, isn't it? It's been a long time since I've made bread. Tiny little bit of yeast makes the whole thing rise. And it's like the seed of faith. In the Bible, it speaks about faith. If you had faith as small as a mustard seed, then you could have whatever you wanted. I can't remember exactly the story, I have to look it up. But Jesus is just getting across the idea like of the mustard seed is the smallest seed, one of the smallest seeds you can imagine. It's so tiny. So you only need a little bit of faith for the whole thing to happen. So we shouldn't worry too much. If we have that amount of faith, we can make our dreams happen. We can call them into being. I really like that phrase, call into being, which is used in the Bible, because I will use manifested too. I think that's Virgin, but it's nice to alternate it, and sometimes I suppose Neville Goddard he always said he wasn't part of any ism. He's not part of the New Age thing, but people who are into that like him as well, so that's all good, you know, whatever helps you. But he didn't attach himself to any frame of thought, and that's what I'm getting at. The word manifested is overused, I feel. I hear it all the time, especially with regards to The Secret, that book. And lots of New Age people are always talking about, oh, I manifested this and I manifested that, and you can just be like, shut up with your manifestations. It's so annoying, because you just feel that they're bandying around the word too much. And are they really manifesting, or is it they just like to think they are and they're in control of everything? It doesn't feel the same as what Neville Goddard's talking about with imagining creating reality. So it does get the idea across, so I do use that word manifested, but I like call into being, because that's what it is. You're calling something from the invisible, because everything is already created. Your dream exists. You don't need to do anything. It's there in the invisible, and you call it into being by living in the feeling of what it would be like if it were true right now. So the feeling and the assumption and the imagined activity are what give it form and solidity in objective reality. I have that in my brain at the moment because I've just been writing about it. Just last night I wrote a bit about objective reality. Lots of planes going over. Can you read it? So I'm writing a book at the moment, and I feel so good writing it, because I haven't written anything spiritually for a while. I've been focusing on this children's book, and it's just kind of tailed off, and I need to finish it. But I just felt the need to write about assumption in my own words as far as possible, even though I'm heavily inspired by Neville Goddard, as I should be, because he is the master of this. And I've divided it into 5 chapters, and the first one is what I spoke about recently, which was negative judgment binds you to objective reality. The second chapter is about seeing objective reality as dreamlike. So I wrote about 3 pages of A4 last night, 2 to 3, and I think that's about right for each chapter. I just want it to be quite easy to read, very clear and succinct. So, you know, a Kindle ebook, and I hope you really like it. I hope you buy it, but I'll probably give it away as free in the hope that you lovely people will give me some good reviews. I appreciate you watching, so anyway, I've been thinking a lot about objective reality. I'm not going to go into it now because I'm already on 13 minutes. Objective reality. We work within it, but we give it a light touch, as I always say. Give it a light touch. Enjoy it, knowing that it's the shadow world, and you can change it. You can change it if you are living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled and assuming. This does fit with what I've been saying, so it's okay. So go about your business and respect others. Here's a mess. Treat others with love as far as you're able to. Don't get too hung up on what's going around you in the world of the senses. You can do everything fine. In fact, you can do it better when you're living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is what I'm beginning to see. Somebody who may not be familiar with Goddard's teachings would think, if you're going around imagining you're in this other state, you're a different kind of person. It's like you're living in some daydream world and you're not fully engaged with the here and now, but you are, more than a lot of people are. More engaged because you see things as they truly are. You see the truth in our world. You still know what's going on, you're still dealing with what you need to deal with, but you're doing it in a more light-hearted way, not getting so upset by things that happen to you, knowing that everything comes from you, because there's only one cause in the world. And so you can live in that joyful feeling and bring that joy to people around you. And not take it so seriously, that's the key point. I'm in work sometimes and people take the smallest things very seriously. And their world immediately narrows. It's like very blinkered just on that point. Nothing else exists for them at that time. And yet, the next day, the next week, even in the next hour, they'll have forgotten about it. So why get so hung up about it? And I've done it too. I'm guilty. It's good to remind. It's good for me to remind me. Don't do that. Silly. Very silly, silly, silly. So sunny. I think I better stop because these planes are probably annoying you. Enjoy the nice weather, people, if you've got nice weather wherever you are. And remember, spring is coming in summer. Life is always better. Because we all like being warm, not cold, don't we? What else do I want to say before I go? Where the shadow's coming from. Oh yes, oh, there's all my work flying away. That was a bit silly of me, I got it. Can't let that go. Well, what do I want to say? Yes, if you have not read my ebook Master the Mind by the teachings of Neville Goddard, why don't you get it? I never plug anything. Well, I have before, but it's usually when it's been made free. But just people who've never read anything by me, why don't you do that? If not, don't write something saying, oh, I would, but blah, 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 or I have read it when it was free, and so that's okay. And honestly, don't buy it unless you're really interested. I would rather you bought a book by Neville Goddard, actually, because he's the master. And if I had to choose 3 things that I would like you to do, this would be the order. Number 1, contemplate scripture about faith, particularly the scripture that he mentions. Number 2, listen to Neville Goddard's talks, read his books, contemplate what he's saying. And number 3, listen to me and read my books. But yeah, that's the order. So don't worry about it. I just thought I'd mention it because maybe I should mention it sometimes, not all the time, like some of these YouTubers. Okay, what do you think about that? I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like this clip, as always, please like, please subscribe, and I might do another really short one later on. Maybe I'll sometimes just do a really short clip and a longer clip of me blathering. Oh, that's one other thing, one last thing. I was listening to a talk by Neville Goddard last night called The Spirit Within. I think I've heard all his talks on YouTube, and I've listened to some over and over again so that I can actually say the lines before he says them, which is really nice for me to do. But The Spirit Within, I might have listened to it before, but it wasn't one I've listened to much, not like Live in the End, or I don't know, Trust and Imagination or something, I can't remember. But it was really good, and I'm going to leave the link below. And I thought I will listen to it again next weekend, make notes on it. He references scripture, so I want to read a bit of that and write down my thoughts, and then do a clip based on what I think of that talk and things that have come out for me. So why don't you listen to it? It's brilliant, as all his talks are. And listen to it before you listen to my clip, if you listen to my clip, and then share your thoughts with me, and what you think of what I said too. So I think that might be good to do once in a while. Just we all listen to one of his talks, I speak a bit about it, and you write a bit about it, and we share ideas with each other. And it's got quite a bit about King David in. He was one of my favourite characters in the Bible. I love King David very much. And I had to read at the Catholic Cathedral the last couple of Fridays when I've read. I've been reading about the stories of King David, and that's been a real pleasure to read that. What an interesting man. And the priest was talking about him, and it was when, sorry, I'm going on again, but it was, the last reading I did was about when King David sees the beautiful Bathsheba on the roof, and she's bathing, from the Leonard Cohen song Hallelujah, which is a wonderful song. And he has her brought to him, and he makes love to her, and she conceives, but she's married. And his army soldier is Uriah, who is the husband of Bathsheba. And so he brings him to him, and he tries to get him drunk and sends him back to his house in the hope that he will obviously have sex with his wife and then think that the baby's his. But it doesn't say that. But Uriah is a good man, and he doesn't get drunk first of all, and then the second time he does a bit, but he just sleeps outside the door, and David knows he hasn't gone in, so it's like his plan is foiled. So what does he do? He says, station Uriah in the battle, in the thick of the fight, where the fiercest fighters are, and then pull back from him, so he's left all by himself. And that's what they do, and Uriah gets killed, and then David is free to be with Bathsheba. So he's not like a really like what you would call a good man. He commits adultery with the wife of his loyal and faithful servant and soldier, and then he has him killed. And the priest started his homily and said, it doesn't, like he said something about, you can't really imagine worse than that, and he sort of introduces what he's done and says, but it's the way he said it, it was so funny, I just wanted to laugh. And then I could see other people smiling, but it's like, it's serious as well, because he's not very good. But it was very good the way he spoke about him. But his, the essence of what he was saying was like, if God can use a man like David He can use all of us, like, in faith. And I thought, yeah, he takes the worst of us and he turns everything around and uses us for his glory. And if people think, oh, I'm being too Christian there, yeah, maybe I am, but it is the truth, and it should give us all great hope, because even if we feel like deep down inside some sense of unworthiness, like anyone but us should have these things. No, because God uses the ones who seem to be the least worthy for his own glory. And part of what we need to do is to spread that this is how things come into being in the world. It's in the Bible. It's all there and it's very clear. Maybe you need somebody, we need someone like Neville Goddard to really bring it to the forefront and explain it so clearly. But it's all there, and nobody can deny it, what is said about faith. But it seems to get lost. And so we should use the power that we have and achieve these things, and then tell people how we did it and where it's from and what they need to do. Spread the gospel of good news. That's what I think anyway. Anyway, I have gone right over. I hope you enjoyed that, and I wish you a really good week ahead. Keep going with imagining the wish fulfilled just before you fall asleep, and when you wake, just keep on telling yourself you're already that person. It's going to make you feel more confident. You're going to have a better day. Everything's going to be good. Okay? And I'm going to change things slightly by writing things on a piece of paper and sticking it up on my bedroom wall so that I don't forget. Okay, right, I'm a bit in shadow once I people. You take care of yourselves, and please like and subscribe. All the best. Bye.